Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're looking at this. It's the Nobels ODR-1 limited edition 30th anniversary overdrive pedal. Yes, the ODR-1 pedal is 30 years old, and the guys at Nobels in Hamburg, Germany decided to make a limited run, limited to 5,000 in fact, in beautiful gold sparkle finish with a few new features up its sleeve as well. For those of you not familiar with the Nobels ODR-1, it is now a legendary overdrive pedal, but it was for many years a secret of the Nashville session players who prized it for its transparent tones, its top-end sparkle, and the brilliant way that it cleaned up on a guitar's volume knob. It's perfect for Telecasters, it's perfect for country tones, it's great for transparent overdrive, but it does a lot more than that as well. Now, the Nashville studio session players prize the original ODR-1 pedals, those from the early mid-90s, because they claim that those sound the best and that they actually sound better than modern versions like this one, the ODR-1 with Bass Cut, that you can buy in dealers today. So if you want to buy one of the older pedals, you've traditionally had to search them out on places like eBay or Reverb, etc. for very, very inflated prices. But what's happened with this 30th edition is that the guys at Nobels have gone through their own stash of old original ODR-1 pedals from the 90s, picked the one that they think sounded the best to their ears and offered that amazing, transparent, open, airy tone, and put that into this 30th anniversary pedal. So technically, it should sound a little bit different from your standard modern day ODR-1 Bass Cut edition model. So that's what we're going to try and find out in this video, alongside playing the pedal in as many different musical styles and sounds as I possibly can. First though, let me tell you about the specs and the features of this pedal, and we can start off by saying that it's beautiful in this sumptuous gold sparkle finish. It looks fantastic, and you've got that lovely chunky Nobels Boss-esque foot switch as well. Really, really nice and very collectible looking too. Like I said, this is a limited edition, but there's 5,000 available, and I think that that means that most of you who want one are going to be able to, and there won't be flippers selling these for thousands of dollars the day after they hit the market. This pedal will set you back around 199 euros, maybe 180, $200 in the USA. So that's what you're going to be paying for it too. And what do you get? Well, you get actually 4 knobs on this one. You get the traditional drive, spectrum, and level controls. Level controls the volume, drive controls the amount of dirt, and spectrum is Nobels' take on the EQ, and it leaves the mid-range untouched, giving you what Nobels would say transparency and a pinch of warmth, and what the spectrum control actually controls are the bass and trebles simultaneously in your tone. We also have, you'll have noticed, a 4th knob on this pedal that's not been available on any ODR-1 to date, and that is a bass cut knob. Now, the bass cut edition here lets you turn the bass cut on or off, so you've got full bass or no bass at all effectively, but this knob gives you supreme versatility in the amount of bass and low end that you have in your signal. You can turn it all the way down to have maximum bass left in, or you can turn it all the way up to cut out as much bass as possible. But what you can also do is have anything in between, so you can have just a little bit of fatness added into a Tele single coil sound, for example, or if you've got a fat, thick Les Paul neck humbucker and it's too flubby and there's too much low end that you don't want and it's getting woofy, you can wind out the bass to the exact point where the sound starts to come alive for you. So it's very versatile in that sense, and it's a really cool feature that I'm looking forward to checking out. So those are the controls. What else does the pedal offer? Well, here on the front we've got a compartment that you can open to access a 9-volt battery if you want to power it via 9-volt battery. You can also power it via a standard 9-volt power supply here, and on the top we have an in, we have an out, and we have a remote port as well if you want to use a remote controller to temporarily turn the pedal on and off. So this is the Nobels ODR-1 limited edition 30th anniversary model, and what we're going to do now is play it in as many different musical styles as I possibly can, just to showcase to you how versatile this pedal really is. Now, we're going to be using 2 guitars today, my Fender Telecaster for single coil tones and my Epiphone Les Paul for humbucking sounds. Note that my Tele has a neck humbucking pickup attached, but I've got it in coil split mode at all times, so those will be true single coil tones. My rig for today in terms of amp is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 head. We'll be using a pretty neutral clean sound for most of the playing demo, although I will switch to the Crunch channel to hear how the ODR-1 runs into an overdriven amplifier. We'll be going from the amp's Redbox AE out straight into my recording software, and I won't be doing any post-production on the audio whatsoever. whatsoever. We'll start with some cleanish tones then, we'll do some clean boosts, we'll do some pop, some folks, and some indie as well. Then we'll kick it up a notch in terms of drive, and we'll do a little bit of indie rock and classic rock as well. We'll play around with the bass cut control at all times to hear how it works for the Tele and for the Les Paul too. And as we go on, we'll kick on a bit more drive, and we'll do some harder rock, some punk rock, some progressive rock, and we'll even tune the guitars down to drop D, max everything out, and see if they can do a bit of chugging, because why not? We've got the pedal here, we might as well test it to the full extent of its capabilities. Once I'm done with that playing, I've got a couple of loops to show you, one with the Tele and one with the Les Paul, where we really get to tweak the knobs and fiddle with the bass cut control, so you can really hear the true versatility of this pedal and the extremes to which you can get it. And after that, I've got one final loop for you, because I happen to also own the ODR-1 Bass Cut Edition and the ODR-Mini pedal too. So what we're going to do is a quick comparison between the three pedals to hear how similar and indeed how different they sound too. Note, I do have a more detailed video of a comparison between this trio of pedals with more detailed loops and more detailed tonal tweaking if you'd like to watch that one later. Links in the description. So this is the Nobels ODR-1 limited edition 30th anniversary overdrive pedal then. Let's play it now, and we'll speak in more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Nobels ODR-1 limited edition 30th anniversary model, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. Now, if you're someone who owns one of the standard ODR-1s, or maybe the ODR-Mini, please get down there in the comments right now and tell me whether you think those versions sound as good as this new limited 30th anniversary edition model. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. But what I'm going to do now is give you a few more detailed opinions from me about this pedal, having had it and played it pretty intensively over the past couple of weeks. And we'll start with the things that I like about the pedal, and the first thing of course is those sounds. I have to say I've been a huge fan of the ODR-1 for a couple of years now. I love my ODR-Mini, I love my ODR-1 Bass Cut edition, and I love the tones from this 30th anniversary edition model. It does sound slightly different from the other two pedals, which we'll talk about later, but it is an amazing pedal for pretty much any flavor of dirt that I could personally want, apart from really heavy metal, but then I've got other pedals that deal with that sort of thing anyway. But for everything from push clean tones through to pretty driving hard rock sounds, this pedal will do that and then some. It's really versatile. It works great with my Telly, it works great with my Les Paul too, and it actually works great with any of my other guitars that I've tried, with Jazzmaster type pickups, with P90s and so on. So no problems there whatsoever. It's a fantastically versatile pedal, and you've got the extra versatility and the extra usage from this variable bass cut control. One of the criticisms that some people had with the original ODR-1s was that they did have a bit too much low end. You can't control that on the ODR-Mini, for example, and you couldn't control that on the older ODR-1s. But on the bass cut edition, there is a switch, a plus or a minus, where you can either have all the bass or none of the bass, and you can have all of the bass or none of the bass with this pedal, but you can then tweak it to have exactly as much bass as you would want, and I found that personally to be very useful. With the Les Paul, I generally had hardly any bass to keep the signal nice and tight and to preserve the clarity of the humbucking pickups, but with the Telecaster I found myself varying it a lot more, and sometimes I found myself just adding a little bit of fatness by putting in a bit more bass just to thicken up the single coils, and sometimes I found myself really turning up almost all of the bass just to widen out the sounds and give myself looser, more vintage sort of tones, and it just worked wonderfully for that. But generally with humbuckers, I think you're going to have the bass cut almost all the way on, and with single coils you really don't need it, and you can adjust it to taste, whatever works for you and the rest of your rig. But yeah, in terms of push clean tones, really nice, sparkling Telecaster country tones, perfect for that sort of stuff. For my beloved indie and classic rock tones, lovely thick pushed sounds, really nice and aggressive on the Telly and on the Les Paul too, with bundles of clarity once you remove some of the unwanted bass frequencies. And for the harder rock and the punk rock as well, for the humbuckers, you're really in home territory with this pedal. With the Telecaster, the more you wind it up, the more you're kind of realizing that this pedal is not quite suited for that. But again, there are other pedals that will do that sort of thing. And of course, the ODR-1 sounds fantastic into an overdriven amplifier as well as a boost, and it works really well for those sort of things too. So overall, in terms of tones, absolutely fantastic. I can't rate the ODR-1 highly enough. It's one of my favorite overdrive pedals, and it remains so with this edition. Now, what about other things that I like about the pedal? Well, I do really dig those gold sparkly looks. I'm a sucker for gold, and this looks really classy. It's going to go down really well as a collector's edition, I think. It's also built like a tank. We've got this lovely chunky switch. The knobs and pots and everything feel like the highest of quality. You've got the fact that you can use a 9-volt battery, or you can use a power supply as well. That's just a cool bit of versatility to have as well. And one other thing that Nobles do feature on all of their big pedals are these Mountie P mounting sets here. I'll try and get a close-up of those, but basically these are an extra thing that let you screw the pedal into pedal boards more easily, meaning that you don't have to use Velcro if you don't want to do that. Those are included with the pedal. They're also included with the bass cut edition as well. Pretty cool thing just to have for free if you want to use it, and if you don't want to use it, well, of course you don't need to. So there's a whole lot that I love about this pedal, but what about the things that I don't quite like so much? Well, there's nothing really. I mean, the only thing that you can say is that this costs considerably more money than the standard ODR-1 Bass Cut edition or the ODR-1 Mini. You'll get the ODR-Mini for under $100, and you'll get the ODR-1 Bass Cut edition for about 120 or something like that, and this is going to be going for around 200, so significantly more money, but it's a limited edition. There's only 5,000 of these. It looks really cool in the gold, and it has that amazing feature, which is the bass cut knob. So for me personally, that's definitely going to be worth it. So I think another question that a lot of you will have had is, how similar does the 30th anniversary edition sound to the standard ODR-1 and the ODR-Mini? Well, you can quite clearly hear from my loop and from the other more detailed loops in my other video that these are made from the same egg. It's the same overall circuit. They're brothers or sisters in tone, but they do have some subtle, and in some cases not so subtle, differences. Now overall, I would say that you get the most versatility by far from the 30th anniversary edition, particularly because of the use of this bass cut switch. And I think you have a little bit more kind of openness and transparency from this pedal. Now that's a very minor thing, and a lot of this might be in my head, but I hear that. And I particularly hear between this and the ODR-Mini that you get a lot more low end out of this pedal. Of course, you can wind up the bass on the anniversary edition, but there's always a bit more in the ODR-Mini, and that might be exactly what you need, so make sure that you check this one out as well. I find that the other two pedals, in terms of gain, are also a little bit more aggressive than this pedal. You can wind this pedal up and match them in terms of overall dirt, but at 12 o'clock, I think the ODR-1 and the ODR-Mini are a bit more growly than the 30th anniversary edition. This one is a bit more open, a bit more transparent as well. The last thing I want to talk about is, of course, the bass cut edition. Now with this one, you have the little bass cut switch hidden inside the front of the pedal where the 9-volt battery goes. You can have all the bass on or all the bass off. Now, of course, you can do that with the 30th anniversary edition, but like I've said repeatedly in this video, you can really tweak it to your heart's content and perfect the tones exactly as you need them. So in that sense, if you're looking for the most versatile of the three, go with this one. But if you get the chance, I really recommend that you try the three of them together and pick the one that works best for you. In conclusion then, well, it's actually pretty simple. I'm going to be buying the 30th anniversary ODR-1 pedal, and I say that as someone who owns the ODR-Mini and the ODR-1 Bass Cut editions already. I really see it as being worth the extra money. You've got the added versatility of this variable bass control switch. It works so well with my rig, it works so well with all of my guitars, and it gives me fantastic tones for pretty much anything that I do. I think it looks fantastic in this gold sparkle as well. It's built like a tank, so it's going to last forever, and you've got that kind of cool thing of it being a limited edition too. But like I said before, this is a pedal that's definitely going to be going on my board, and it's going to be getting used and abused and played every single day. It's a fantastic pedal, and I would urge you to try one if you ever get the chance to do so, no matter what kind of music that you play. I hope that this video has answered all of the questions that you might have had about the ODR-1 30th anniversary edition, but if there's anything else you want to know, drop me a comment down there, and don't forget to watch my other video that I've linked in the description and in the cards, where I really compare this pedal in detail against the ODR-Mini and the ODR-1 Bass Cut edition, which are also fantastic pedals, by the way, and you should totally consider those too if you're into the ODR-1 thing. And if you're still watching, it would make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even sub to my channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.